Hare Krishna, my dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, Southeast England, just a stone's throw from the English channel. Okay. Śrīmad-Bhāgavad-Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the two most important scriptures in the Vedic literatures. They are the manual for how to operate the human body and this material universe. So without knowing what the rules are, what the laws are, what the natural laws are, very difficult to function properly. Therefore the world is in turmoil for lack of forgetfulness of Krishna and his laws. That's what real religion is. So without this knowledge, a human being cannot act as a human being properly. So therefore Srila Prabhupada called this a cultural revolution for the re-spiritualization of human society. And that's what's going on. It's going to take a long time. But that was Lord Chaitanya's will. And his will is supreme. So we're doing our little bit here, every day. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who was taught by 2 months straight all the philosophy of Krishna consciousness A to Z. And so he compiled this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahima Stotram afterwards, fresh off of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He's glorifying the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdipi Yusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Purāṇa, Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho, Kalidwan Doditaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who is supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguro Man Mahadana, Man Nistadaga Mad Bhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhuta dayin, atini chochatakara, hanamun chagada chenmam, premna vit gantayokspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me, always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. We've reached the third canto, first chapter, questions by Vidura. We're getting a change of pace from the detailed description of the creation of the universe, and the questions have turned to Vidura and his pilgrimage and what happened after he left the palace, after being insulted by Duryodhana. We're beginning with text 41. Vidura is speaking with Uddhava. O gentle one, I simply lament for him, Tritarastra, who rebelled against his brother after the latter's death. But by Tritarastra, I was driven out of my own house, although I am his sincere well-wisher, because he accepted the line of action adopted by his own sons. Purport. Vidura did not ask about the welfare of his elder brother, because there was no chance of his well-being, only news of his gliding down to hell. Vidura was a sincere well-wisher of Dhritarashtra's, and had a thought about him in the corner of his heart. Vidura lamented that Dhritarashtra could rebel against the sons of his dead brother Pandu, and that he could drive him, Vidura, out of his own house on the dictation of Dhritarashtra's crooked sons. In spite of these actions, Vidura never became an enemy of Dhritarashtra, but continued to be his well-wisher. And at the last stage of Dhritarashtra's life, it was Vidura only who proved to be his real friend. Such is the behavior of a Vaishnava, like Vidura. He desires all good, even for his enemies. Text 42. I am not astonished at this, having traveled over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others. But I know of his greatness by his grace, and thus I am happy in all respects. Purport. Although he was the brother of Dhritarashtra, Vidura was completely different. By the grace of Lord Krishna, he was not foolish like his brother, and thus his brother's association could not influence him. Dhritarashtra and his materialistic sons wanted to falsely lord it over the world by dint of their own strength. The Lord encouraged them in this, and thus they became more and more bewildered. But Vidura wanted to achieve sincere devotional service of the Lord, and therefore became a soul absolutely surrendered to the absolute personality of Godhead. He could realize this in the progress of his pilgrim's journey, and thus he was freed from all doubts. He was not at all sorry to be bereft of his hearth and home, because he now had experience that dependence on the mercy of the Lord is a greater freedom than so-called freedom at home. A person should not be in the renounced order of life unless he is firmly convinced of being protected by the Lord. This stage of life is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as abhayang sattva shuddhi. Every living entity is factually completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord, but unless one is in the pure state of existence, he cannot be established in this position. This stage of dependence is called sattva shuddhi, or purification of one's existence. The result of such purification is exhibited in fearlessness. A devotee of the Lord, who is called Narayana Para, is never afraid of anything, because he is always aware of the fact that the Lord protects him in all circumstances. With this conviction, Vidura traveled alone, and he was not seen or recognized by any friend or foe. Thus he enjoyed freedom of life, without obligation to the many duties of the world. When Lord Sri Krishna was personally present in the mortal world in his eternal blissful form of Shyamasundar, those who were not pure devotees of the Lord could not recognize him or know his glories. Abhajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam. Gita 9:11. He is always bewildering to the non-devotees, but he is always seen by the devotees by dint of their pure devotional service to him. Text 43. Despite his being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus, although they committed all sorts of sins, and although they saw other kings constantly agitating the earth by their strong military movements carried out under the dictation of the three kinds of false pride. Purport. As declared in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord appears in the mortal world to execute his much-needed mission of killing the miscreants and giving protection to the suffering faithful. In spite of that mission, Lord Krishna tolerated the insult to Draupadi by the Kurus and the injustices perpetrated against the Pandavas, as well as insults to himself. The question may be raised, why did he tolerate? Why did he tolerate such injustices and insults in his presence? Why did he not chastise the Kurus immediately? When Draupadi was insulted in the assembly by the Kurus, by their attempt to see her naked in the presence of all, the Lord protected Draupadi by supplying an unlimited length of clothing. But he did not chastise the insulting party immediately. This silence of the Lord did not mean, however, that he excused the offenses of the Kurus. There were many other kings on earth who would become very proud of three kinds of possessions: wealth, education, and followers, and they were constantly agitating the earth by movements of military strength. The Lord was just waiting to get them together on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and kill them all at one time, just to make a shortcut in his killing mission. Shortcut. Godless kings or heads of state, when puffed up by the advancement of material wealth, education, and increase of population, always make a show of military strength and give trouble to the innocent. Sound familiar? When Lord Krishna was personally present, there were many such kings all over the world, and he thus arranged for the battle of Kurukshetra. In his manifestation of Vishwarupa, the Lord expressed his mission of killing as follows: I have willingly descended to the earth in my capacity of inexorable time, in order to decrease the unwanted population. I shall finish all those who have assembled here, except you, the Pandavas. This killing does not wait for you to take part in it. It is already arranged. All will be killed by me. If you want to become famous as the hero of the battlefield, and thus enjoy the booty of war, then, O Sabyasachi, just become the immediate cause of this killing, and thus take the credit. I have already killed all the great warriors, Bhishma, Drona, Jayadratha, Karna, and many other great generals. Do not worry. Fight the battle and be famous as a great hero. Bhagavad Gita 11:32-34. The Lord always wants to see his devotee as the hero of some episode which he himself performs. He wanted to see his devotee and friend Arjuna as the hero of the battle of Kurukshetra, and thus he waited for all the miscreants of the world to assemble. That and nothing else is the explanation of his waiting. Text 44. The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? Purport. Ishvarak Paramak Krishna Satchidananda Vigrahaha. The form of the Lord is eternal, blissful, and all-satisfying. His so-called birth is therefore an appearance only, like the birth of the sun on the horizon. His birth does not, like that of the living entities, take place under the influence of material nature and the bondage of the reactions of past deeds. His works and activities are independent pastimes and are not subject to the reactions of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.14 it is said, Namam karmani limpanti name karma pale spriha itimam yo bijanati karmabir na sabhadyate. The law of karma enacted by the Supreme Lord for the living entities cannot be applicable to him, nor has the Lord any desire to improve himself by activities like those of ordinary living beings. Ordinary living beings work for the improvement of their conditional lives, but the Lord is already full of all opulence, all strength, all fame, all beauty, and all knowledge, and all renunciation. Why should he desire improvement? No one can excel him in any opulence, and therefore the desire for improvement is absolutely useless for him. One should always discriminate between the activities of the Lord and those of ordinary living beings. Thus one may come to the right conclusion regarding the Lord's transcendental position. One who can come to the conclusion of the Lord's transcendence can become a devotee of the Lord and can at once be free from all reactions of past deeds. It is said, Karmani nir dahati kintu chabakti bhajam. The Lord minimizes or nullifies the reactionary influence of the devotee's past deeds. Brahma Samhita 5.54. The activities of the Lord are to be accepted and relished by the living entities. His activities are meant to attract the ordinary man towards the Lord. The Lord always acts in favor of the devotees, and therefore ordinary men who are fruitive actors or seekers of salvation may be attracted to the Lord when he acts as the protector of the devotees. The fruitive actors can attain their goals by devotional service, and the salvationists can also attain their goal in life by devotional service to the Lord. The devotees do not want the fruitive results of their work, nor do they want any kind of salvation. They relish the glorious, superhuman activities of the Lord, such as his lifting Govardhan Hill and his killing the demon Purāṇa in infancy. His activities are enacted to attract all kinds of men, karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas. Because he is transcendental to all laws of karma, There is no possibility of his accepting a form of Maya like the forms forced on the ordinary living entities who are bound by the actions and reactions of their own deeds. The secondary purpose of his appearance is to annihilate the upstart asuras and to stop the nonsense of atheistic propaganda by less intelligent persons. By the Lord's causeless mercy, the asuras who were killed personally by the personality of Godhead get salvation. The meaningful appearance of the Lord is always distinct from ordinary birth. Even the pure devotees have no connection with the material body. And certainly the Lord, who appears as he is in his Satchidananda form, is not limited by a material form. Text 45. O my friend, please therefore chant the glories of the Lord, who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, and yet he appears by his causeless mercy upon the surrendered rulers of all parts of the universe. Only for their interest did he appear in the family of his unalloyed devotees, the Yadus. Purport. There are innumerable rulers all over the universe in different varieties of planets. The sun god in the sun planet, the moon god in the moon planet, Indra in the heavenly planet, Vayu, Varuna, and those in the Brahmaloka planet, where Lord Brahma is living. All are obedient servants of the Lord. Whenever there is any trouble in the administration of the innumerable planets in different universes, the rulers pray for an appearance, and the Lord appears. The Bhagavatam 1.3.28 has already confirmed this in the following verse. Eti changsha kalak pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. In every millennium, whenever there is any trouble for the obedient rulers, the Lord appears. He also appears for the sake of his pure and unalloyed devotees. The surrendered rulers and the pure devotees are always strictly under the control of the Lord, and they are never disobedient to the desires of the Lord. The Lord is therefore always attentive to them. The purpose of pilgrimages is to remember the Lord constantly, and therefore the Lord is known as Tirtha Kirti. The purpose of going to a place of pilgrimage is to get the chance to glorify the Lord. Even today, although times have changed, there are still pilgrimage sites in India. For example, in Mathura, in Vrindavan, where we had a chance to stay, people are awake from early in the morning at 5 a.m. up to night time and are constantly engaged, some way or other, in chanting the holy glories of the Lord. The beauty of such a pilgrimage site, is that automatically one remembers the holy glories of the Lord. His name, fame, qualities, form, pastimes, and entourage are all identical to the Lord. And therefore, chanting the glories of the Lord invokes the personal presence of the Lord. Anytime or anywhere pure devotees meet and chant the glories of the Lord is present without any doubt. Shall I say that again? That's not too bad, is it? Anytime or anywhere pure devotees meet and chant the glories of the Lord is present without any doubt. That's why it's so nice. It is said by the Lord himself that he always stays where his pure devotees chant his glories. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, first chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled questions by Vidura. All glories to Vidura and Uddhava. All glories to Lord Sri Krishna, the master of them all. Haribol. Okay. We're moving on now to chapter 2. Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Text 1. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, when the great devotee Uddhava was asked by Vidura to speak on the messages of the dearest Lord Krishna, Uddhava was unable to answer immediately due to excessive anxiety at the remembrance of the Lord. Text 2. He was one who even in his childhood, at the age of 5 years, was so absorbed in the service of Lord Krishna that when he was called by his mother for morning breakfast, he did not wish to have it. Purport. From his very birth, Uddhava was a natural devotee of Lord Krishna, or a Nityasiddha, a liberated soul. From natural instinct, he used to serve Lord Krishna, even in his childhood. He used to play with dolls in the form of Krishna. He would serve the dolls by dressing, feeding, and worshipping them. And thus he was constantly absorbed in the play of transcendental realization. These are the signs of an eternally liberated soul. An eternally liberated soul is a devotee of the Lord who never forgets him. Human life is meant for reviving one's eternal relation with the Lord, and all religious injunctions are meant for awakening this dormant instinct of the living entity. The sooner this awakening is brought about, the quicker the mission of human life is fulfilled. In a good family of devotees, the child gets the opportunity to serve the Lord in many ways. A soul who is already advanced in devotional service has the opportunity to take birth in such an enlightened family. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 6.41. Shuchinang Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Vijayate. Even the fallen devotee gets the opportunity to take his birth in the family of a well-situated Brahmana or in a rich, well-to-do mercantile family. In both these families, there is a good opportunity to revive one's sense of God consciousness automatically, because particularly in these families, the worship of Lord Krishna is regularly performed, and the child gets the opportunity to imitate the process of worship called archana. The Pancharatriki formula for training persons in devotional service is temple worship, whereby the neophytes get the opportunity to learn devotional service to the Lord. Maharaj Parikshit also used to play with Krishna dolls in his childhood. In India, the children in good families are still given dolls of the Lord, like Rama and Krishna, or sometimes the demigods, so that they may develop the aptitude of service to the Lord. By the grace of the Lord, we were given the same opportunity by our parents, and the beginning of our life was based on this principle. Text 3. Uddhava thus served the Lord continuously from childhood, and in his old age, that attitude of service never slackened. As soon as he was asked about the message of the Lord, he at once remembered all about him. Purport. Transcendental service to the Lord is not mundane. The service attitude of the devotee gradually increases and never becomes slackened. Generally, in old age, a person is allowed retirement from mundane service. But in the transcendental service of the Lord, no, I was getting your attention to what was just said. Freudian slip. Generally, in old age, a person is allowed retirement from mundane service. But in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is no retirement at all. On the contrary, the service attitude increases more and more with the progress of age. Haribo. In the transcendental service, there is no satiation, and therefore there is no retirement. Materially, when a man becomes tired of rendering service in his physical body, he is allowed retirement. But in the transcendental service, there is no feeling of fatigue, because it is spiritual service and is not on the bodily plane. Service on the bodily plane dwindles as the body grows older, but the spirit is never old, and therefore on the spiritual plane, the service is never tiresome. Uddhava undoubtedly became old, but that does not mean that his spirit became old. His service attitude matured on the transcendental plane, and therefore, as soon as he was questioned by Vidura about Lord Krishna, he at once remembered his Lord by reference to the context and forgot himself on the physical plane. That is the sign of pure devotional service to the Lord, as will be explained later on Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya, etc. in Lord Kapila's instructions to his mother, Devahuti. Text 4. For a moment, he remained dead silent, and his body did not move. He became absorbed in the nectar of remembering the Lord's lotus feet in devotional ecstasy, and he appeared to be going increasingly deeper into that ecstasy. Purport. On the inquiry by Vidura about Krishna, Uddhava appeared to be awakened from slumber. He appeared to regret that he had forgotten the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus he again remembered the lotus feet of the Lord, and remembered all his transcendental loving service unto him. And by so doing, he felt the same ecstasy that he used to feel in the presence of the Lord. Because the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his remembrance and his personal presence. Thus, Uddhava remained completely silent for a moment, but then he appeared to be going deeper and deeper into ecstasy. Feelings of ecstasy are displayed by highly advanced devotees of the Lord. There are 8 kinds of transcendental changes in the body: tears, shivering of the body, perspiration, restlessness, throbbing, choking of the throat, and so on. And all were manifested by Uddhava in the presence of Vidura. And that brings us to 7:55, believe it or not. So we'll stop our reading here tonight and pick it up at text 5 tomorrow. And patiently wait for the reflections of all the devotees who were hearing about what we read tonight. Hare Krishna.
First is from Rati Manjari.
Hare Krishna Rati, first off the blocks tonight. Fantastic.
Jai Guru Maharaj. We keep forgetting him, but you come to remind us of the Lord, night after night. Thank you.
By the grace of Srila Prabhupada, yes, thank you.
Sudevi Dasi says Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Sudevi Dasi, Hare Krishna.
And from Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Yes, Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Jai Maharaj and all assembled sages, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Jai, Haribo. All glories to the devotees of the Lord, especially those who like to hear about him.
And from Bhakta Christopher.
Yes, Bhakti Christopher.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj and assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.
Nayon Kanti says Hare Krishna.
Nayon Kanti, Hare Krishna.
And from Bhaktirupa.
Hare Krishna, Bhaktirupa.
Thank you for reading, Maharaj. Very grateful for your steadiness in hearing. You are forcing me to be steady in hearing also because I'm attached to getting your sweet, helpful, and learned association each night.
Hare Krishna.
Feel like thank you doesn't do it justice. We heard a little about trusting in the Lord's protection being a requirement of the renounced order of life. In material life, our trust has been betrayed so much, and we can certainly bring that distrustful mentality into the association of devotees. This lack of trust seems to taint our interactions and get in the way of service. I wondered how we can let go of our mistrust and put our faith in Krishna and his devotees.
Well, as far as I understand, the best way to do that is to hear about him in the association of devotees. Because whatever you just said, I've noticed myself, because I've been with you a number of times now, hearing in physical presence, you like it. You like to hear. And you have great respect for the devotees and affection for the devotees. So I think that there may be some transcendental humility mixed in with your confession, your revelation. But this is the way. There's no faster, no better, no easier way than hearing the glories of the Lord regularly with the devotees. This is the foundational principle of devotional life, of devotional service. The most important. Because the more you hear, of course there's work to be done from our side, from the hearer's side. One has to listen carefully. That's within the power of every conditioned soul, is to be able to listen carefully and not just hear something and then speculate and then hear something else and then speculate, then hear something else and speculate, and get a patchwork of ideas that is not, connected by the total train of thought. That's why it's very important to keep hearing Srila Prabhupada's books, cover to cover, time after time, again and again. Because Srila Prabhupada's train of thought takes us to Krishna. That's the essence of this hearing and chanting. Ride on the train of thought of Srila Prabhupada to the lotus feet of Krishna. The Bhagavatam is an incarnation of Krishna. It is literally, the sound is Krishna. So I don't know of any better way than hearing the Bhagavatam with the devotees and chanting the holy name of the Lord with the devotees in ecstasy, dancing, chanting, feasting. These are the ways that we overcome these anomalies that are still there in the heart. We're in the stage of anartha nivritti. By the time we get to this stage, we're in anartha nivritti at least, and therefore, when the anarthas become cleansed to a certain extent, then we become steady. And in that steadiness, it's easier, and the taste will come. And the taste is coming. It's already coming. In your case in particular, I've seen it with my own ears and eyes. Hare Krishna.
From Anandamurti Devi Dasi.
Yes, Anandamurti. Haven't heard from you for some time.
Dear Guru Maharaj and all assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I am feeling very grateful to join this daily reading again. It is so nice to hear. Quote, any time or anywhere pure devotees meet and chant the glories of the Lord. The Lord is present without any doubt.
Yes.
It is said by the Lord himself that he always stays where his pure devotees chant his glories.
Yes, that's what I read twice. That's right.
I was in a very local area of Japan where my grandparents are living for a week.
Oh.
I found there is only hope for a human being to execute devotional service to Lord Sri Krishna. Otherwise the kala, the time, will bring people to the next birth of this material world, which is simply misery for all.
Correct. Beautiful reflection. Thank you so much. This is the test of a Krishna conscious person. When we get into a situation where Krishna is not present, then we feel separation from Krishna. This is the fastest way to get to Krishna's heart. Serve in separation. Feel separation from Krishna. Krishna appreciates it so much. He takes bigger steps than we can take towards us, than we can take toward him. Hare Krishna.
From Daitari Hari.
Yes, Daitari Hari.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thanks again for reading tonight. We heard tonight that one should not take up the renounced order unless one is completely dependent on the goodwill of the Lord. I find myself always obsessed by the conditions of my life and trying to change them. What does it take for us to become completely dependent on the Lord?
It takes Krishna's reciprocation. Excuse me. It takes Krishna's reciprocation. The thing that we can do is to act in such a way as he will want to come and see us. That's all we can do. We can't cause him to appear to us just any more than we can cause the sun to come up. It comes up when it wants to come up. So the thing we can do is to work or act in such a way as to show Krishna that we're attached to him. And that comes through thinking about him. Manmana, bhavamad bhakto, madhyajimam namaskuru. It's very simple. Just remember him, become his devotee, worship him, offer your homage to him. And in this way, he will come to you. So that's our duty. To act in a way that Krishna wants us to act and is pleased with. And then he will choose us. And then he will appear to us. Hare Krishna.
And from Rati Manjari?
Yes, Rati.
Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. Thank you for the nectarian reading of tonight. I love to hear how Lord Krishna likes it when his devotee becomes the hero of a pastime, which he himself is enacting. Krishna has such a nice character and nature. In regards to Krishna, that saying really is true, that to know him is to love him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And therefore, the more we hear about him, the more we get to know about him, the more we love him. It's natural.
From Subarao?
Yes, Subarao. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for bringing the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada. When you were reading the section of Purport 3.143, quote, the question may be raised, why did he tolerate such injustices and insults in his presence? Why did he not chastise the Kurus immediately? Unquote. I remembered one of the many greatest books by Srila Prabhupada, Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. Thank you for reading and facilitating us to realize the great insight and train of thoughts by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Ho to your service, Maharaj.
Yes, let's get on the right train and go to the right destination. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada's train of thought. Thank you, Subhav Rao.
And from Daitari Hari.
Yes, Daitari Hari.
It's really far out that Bhaktirupa always reflects on the same points that stood out to me. He usually gets there first, though, and his questions/reflections on the same point are usually better, though.
Transcendental loving reciprocation, competition. In the spiritual world, there's an endless competition in who's going to satisfy Krishna the most, and Krishna's to satisfy the devotee the most. And it's an endless competition. So wonderful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
And from Gemma.
Yes, Gemma.
Thanks, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And from Anandamurti.
Yes, Anandamurti.
I was chanting with my grandmother and I distributed Bhagavad Gita and Prasad to my relatives who live there.
Oh, good.
But I missed the association with you through this reading while staying there. I was feeling the power of the daily reading of Srila Prabhupada's. I was feeling the power of daily hearing of Srila Prabhupada's books with you and all assembled devotees. This reading makes me fix my mind on the basics of Krishna consciousness. Thank you so much, your servant, Anandamurti.
Hare Krishna, Anandamurti, and thank you very much, because this is a major point personally that I'm trying to encourage the devotees to remember by reading every day like this. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
And more from Subbarao.
Yes, Subbarao.
One thing I remembered when you were reading, quote, any time or anywhere pure devotees meet and chant the glories of the Lord is present without any doubt. It is said by the Lord himself that he always stays where his pure devotees chant his glories.
Yes.
I remembered this verse, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 4:21-41. Naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam hridayeshu va tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti mad bhaktaha.
Yes.
I am not in Vaikuntha, nor in the hearts of the yogis. I remain where my devotees engage in glorifying my activities.
Yes, absolutely. Straight from the Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Armed with that knowledge, stand and fight the material energy and attract Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Bhaktirupa.
Yes, Bhaktirupa.
Daityari is so smart and humble.
Prabhupada called our movement a mutual admiration society. It should be like that. You know, devotees appreciating the good qualities of one another. The world is now becoming more and more quarrelsome. That's what Kali means, quarrel. So it's natural that as time goes by and the age of Kali develops, there's more quarreling. But there's more devotees becoming attached to hearing about Krishna also at the same time. And therefore, it will eventually win. Partanaiva hena mutra vinasya tasya vidyate nahi kalyanakrit kachchit durgatim tattagachtiti. one does good, Krishna says, never is overcome by evil. Hare Krishna.
One more comment from Subarao.
Yes, Subarao.
He says, Lord is in Facebook with us now, Maharaj.
Lord is what?
Lord is in Facebook with us now.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
And from Yadutama?
Yes, Yadutama. Hope you're doing okay over there in Russia.
Hare Krishna Gurudev, my obeisances and glories to Prabhupada. I feel blessed to be able to hear the readings live tonight. Prabhupada revealed the secret to a happy material retirement, and your secret how you stay so stable in your service. Quote, service on the bodily plane dwindles as the body grows older, but the spirit is never old, and therefore on the spiritual plane the service is never tiresome.
Yes.
All glories to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's
All
books.
glories to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Yes. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful appreciation and it touched me deeply. Thank you. Makes my life meaningful. Hare Krishna. Okay. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, same time, same place, same topic, as Uddhava gets himself back together and then glorifies Krishna. And when you hear Uddhava glorify Krishna, it doesn't get much better than that, except the gopis and other higher personalities from Goloka Vrindavan. But in terms of Dwarka, he's the highest. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Haribol.